Day 218 of the Ukrainian war map, also known as Russia's devastating invasion of Ukraine. Jozzy here, and today is another quick update as I take a simplified and down-to-earth approach to some of the most important happenings on the ground in Ukraine today. And as always, I like to start off with some of those Russian military and personnel losses. So we'll just take a quick peek today, and we can see the Russian personnel losses currently sitting at 58,580. So about 400 troop losses more in the last 24-hour reporting period. Then in terms of hardware, for instance, we've got a massive 13 tank losses on the Russian side. I've got quite a few photos to show you soon of that as well. And a whopping 20 additional losses on the Russian side for the APVs, so the armored personnel vehicles. And maybe one other thing to note here is the UAVs as well. 6 more losses there too. Those of which being the unmanned aerial vehicles. Now we'll move it back across to the map too, and we'll have a quick peek. And we'll start out in the Sumy Greater Oblast here, where another Russian Orlan-10 UAV was shot down. This time in this northern region here. It's not normally that you'll find that these Russian drones are sent up this way. Perhaps it is to test some air defenses, for instance, there as well. Then we'll move across to the Kharkiv Oblast here, where there is intense shelling by the Russian forces just above the border on the Belgorod Oblast region there of the Russian motherland, just all really along it looks like it's actually on the border. So Russia is doing a lot of shelling, not so much into the Oblast here as it is on the borders there. They may be concerned about some saboteurs crossing the line. And we'll move across to some captured loot in this area. So the Ukrainian forces recovered a Tiger IMV. So this is sort of an infantry mobility vehicle. Now it's being towed by a very standard looking Ural truck. So a Ural 4320. So these Russian trucks or Russian built, which I can't say for sure, but the one doing the towing here, the truck is probably at some point, well, in the past, was captured by the Ukrainian forces as well. And the Russian losses in the Kharkiv Oblast don't stop coming. Here's a photo of another T-80 BV tank in good condition, as it was captured there by the Ukrainian troops as well. And again, 2 more tanks, one of a slightly different variant. So we've got a T-80U tank here and another T-80 BV tank captured by the Ukrainian armed forces as well. And just lastly, in terms of loot today in the Kharkiv location, so at Kupiansk or South Kupiansk right here, recently liberated area. This is what the blue stands for, whereas the green stands for liberated over 2 weeks ago or longer, that sort of thing. Red is obviously the Russian forces. And we have this photo of another Tiger IMV as well, which is nice to see. Now we'll move across to the ever-contested Donbas, as I call it there. Now some pretty interesting developments here. I'll just sort of zoom out, and here we go. Okay, so we definitely need the date map today. I'll show you what's going on. So over the last few days, obviously we can see the Ukrainian forces have been pushing in. So the 27th, the 28th, another change on the 28th, then the 29th, and the 29th again. So 2 separate pushes recorded in the last 24-hour period. So that is really good to see there. In fact, what is happening here is you can probably already guess that Lehman here, where you've got some Russian soldiers stationed, which is identified or indicated by the 2 oinky pigs, as we can see there. This pocket is about to be closed off. Now the Russians really need to leave before it's too late, but that may already be an option that is no longer at their disposal. Because specifically we've got the 0528 highway route there, of which this road is now registered by the UAF precision strike artillery group. So we could be talking about Excalibur missiles, very high precision, or other types of rounds that the Ukrainian forces use. In the end, negating this highway's path of some sort of use for reinforcements or retreat. So one way or another, it doesn't seem like these Russian troops stationed here in Lyman have many options up their sleeves. Now we'll just keep looking at the map here and the date map within the map, and we can see that the Ukrainian forces, now it's contested area, this bit here, but we can see potentially the Ukrainian forces have pushed and are starting to encircle Yampil as well. Not dissimilar to what's happening with Lyman there. And arguably a little bit further down, just north of Donetsk city, if we go back in time, we can see a little bit of a push here. This is a little bit below Bakhmut, but it's good to see that the Ukrainian forces might be pushing the more central Donbas front line right there as well. Oh, and in terms of the Donbas, another Russian Orlan 10 reconnaissance UAV fell out of the sky in the east. So there's a photo of that one there. And also, just lastly, in the Donbas region today, some information on news. A picture, in fact, of Kramatorsk. So obviously, Ukrainian held. There were some Russian missile strikes reported here in Kramatorsk. Now, Kramatorsk and its northern city, sister city, Slovyansk, have been always taking a beating in the last few weeks, or really months to be honest there. So Russia has never controlled it, but always wanted to, of course. I mean, in the end, the military strategic objectives, the main one, number one of Russia in total, is to take the remainder of the Donbas here. So this white negative space just before the dotted line. But that is looking more and more difficult to attain as the weeks have gone by recently. And we'll move across to Dnipropetrovsk, so this boomerang-looking oblast right here, where the oblast is really no stranger to Russian missile strikes either, even though it's not necessarily considered to be on the front line. A lot of these missile strikes don't hit anything of particular military strategic importance, like houses, backyards, that sort of thing. It's sort of a spray and pray tactic that's been an ongoing thing for the Russians over the since the beginning of this war. Also, next up, I don't have any footage or photography, but at Kryvyi Rih, to the very west side of the Dnipropetrovsk Oblast, there's just a report through Telegram advising missile strikes have hit the area, but that's about all we know there for that one at the moment. Pretty fresh info. Next up, we'll move down to the Kherson Oblast. So just zoom out and back in for some context there. And we have some Ukrainian strikes on Brylivka. So that is right here. So this is deep within Russian-held territory. Possibly a gas pipeline on fire. Otherwise, we don't exactly know for sure. But like I say, far away from the front line. Speaking of the front line, let's have a look at the date map and see if there's any changes on the front in the last day. So the 28th to the 29th. So a push in the midriff there, but it looks like some loss on the northern section, of which is always reported to have quite a large or high intensification of exchangement or duel when it comes to exchanging shells between each side. But nearly a month ago now, or if not a month ago in fact, it has been, at least 4 weeks, where the Ukrainian armed forces tended to advertise that they were doing a massive counter-offensive here. Instead, they did a bit of a head fake and took out pretty much all of the north, all of this green section in Kharkiv instead. So, look left, turn right. What a great strategy. Then we'll move down to, this is more of a news segment of sorts, but Russian convoys of mostly logistical trucks have been seen crossing through the Crimean Peninsula. This is likely to assist bolstering forces on the front lines in Kherson and Zaporizhia, so up around this whole area there. Now I'll move across to some news for the day as I keep this video a little bit shorter than they normally are. So the White House announces a $1.1 billion weapons package for Ukraine. It includes 18 additional HIMARS systems, hundreds of armored vehicles, radars and counter-drone systems. Oh, and of course, an additional allotment of HIMARS ammunition as well. So at the moment, Ukraine has 16 HIMARS missile systems. So these are the longest range or longer range, high precision missile systems, effectively, that Ukraine already has at its disposal. It did seem to turn the tide of the war a few months ago when they were first received. So to actually double up and have, well, more than double what they've currently got is a pretty keen set of events and outlook for the Ukrainian forces and the Ukraine of country in general to protect its own sovereignty, of course. Now, another probably good news. So Meduza, which is actually a Russian-based media outlet, has said that the Kremlin, so Russia, is to hold back on illegal annexation of the Ukrainian territories after the sham referendums recently. Now, according to this Russian media outlet, the annexation will be postponed. So we're talking about the annexation of these territories to Russia. So postponed as it won't have the desired PR effect, quote unquote, they said, on the Russian population that is dissatisfied with the recent partial military mobilization declaration that President Putin of Russia put into force on the 21st of September. And in some other news, the NGO says Russia sends conscripts from annexed Crimea to fight in the Kherson Oblast. So basically, Russia is sending newly mobilized Crimean men to the front lines of the Kherson Oblast, according to a non-governmental organization called Crimea SOS. Now, the head of the organization said, quote, "They are already being transferred from Sevastopol," which is in Crimea, a port, where they had spent only 2 days since they received their draft summonses. Now, a couple of things to say here. First of all, the conscription of residents of occupied territories to the ranks of the occupying army is actually a war crime. You can't do it. But would you trust them as well, anyway? And second of all, I think I've got the actual footage. This footage is from Crimea Sevastopol, just was taken the other day there. I showed it in yesterday's video. So the problem with these conscripts being shipped off to the front lines is it's not a good idea. It's not a good idea to even have reservists that have previously served in the military to go out to the front lines. They need to have at least a month of training, even 2 weeks, which one Russian politician said should be sufficient. 2 weeks. A lot of these people aren't even getting 2 days. They're just getting shipped off, and they don't even know how to hold a gun, it seems, some of them. Now, in some lighter news, 6 Ukrainian prisoners of war posed for a picture after being released from Russian captivity as part of a recent prisoner exchange. This was on the 29th, so today, so that's always nice to see. And just lastly, a bit of a funny to round it off. Sorry, excuse my dark humor if it's not that funny. I actually feel a bit sorry for these guys in a funny way. But this is a video of a newly mobilized Russian group of people. Now, they unloaded to a field with no supplies given. The guy on the camera said he was drafted through mobilization, as we know. He goes on to say nobody is waiting for them. They weren't given any instructions. They didn't give them a tent or a stove. They may need to sleep in the field. Their bus is gone. They got no dry rations, no money, nothing. And he ends up saying, quote unquote, shoved here like a flock of sheep. I guess my larger point here is military mobilization is quite a large logistical feat. And countries need to be ready for it. In fact, the first let's say 1 to 200,000 soldiers that went to Russia, they were given expired 5 or 7 years expired rations, for instance. So winter has also come in, and I keep bringing this up on the channel now because I don't think that the Russian soldiers are going to be appropriately attired for this coming winter season, and will just freeze over. And like I've said in another video, they'll get a text to say, hey, either die from frostbite or surrender now. We'll keep you safe. We'll get you back home. We'll protect your privacy, because that's truly what's happening. Is these Russian soldiers, they're on the front lines with cell phones that are actually running through Ukrainian towers, which automatically allows through that infrastructure for the Ukrainian government to send out texts saying all these things to them. So that's a bit of take technology right there. That's good. Putting it to use. So that's about it, guys. Thanks for watching. Sorry it's a little bit of a shorter video today, but that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes there. And yeah, I do hope to see all of you guys there in the next one. Feel free to subscribe, like, and even comment. I'm usually in the comments section every now and then, probably a little bit too often. So thanks again. Cheers.